The coasters are out. It is Wednesday and we're coasting through the week. Now, these awesome coasters are from Mouldd and I'm using these inks. There are a few different ones there, and I'm also using Ocean White, which must mean a bloom. Let's go play. Hello everyone, I have got my resin ready. I'm Lula, this is NERDGOBLIN Art. I'm using Mouldd and I'm currently waiting for it to heat up. So we're using FansArriche, I think is what they're called. I've linked them in the description box below. They're a really lovely acrylic ink set that I found on Amazon, and you get a lot of colours for a pretty good price. So I'm also using Ocean White, and that is for the bloom. Again, that is from Amazon, and I'm using this temperature monitor. It's like the probe. I've learned that with resin, for making a good bloom, the temperature needs to be 35 to 38. So that's what I'm checking on. And usually I am leaving a lot of resin in 1 cup, keeping an eye on it because obviously I don't want a flash cure, but I also want the resin to warm up. So I'll come back to you once that is nice and warm. So Mouldd is a UK based company. They very kindly, there's a QR code if you need to take a picture, they very kindly sent me their resin coaster kit, which included these lovely coaster moulds as well. They're a gorgeous size. They really are a lovely sturdy mould. So check them out. I will list them in the description box below as well, but unfortunately I don't have any discount codes at this moment. So I'll be back and we're going to check out the temperature again. So this is about 10 minutes later. The probes, I'm not sure if the temperature probes are better or not than the fancy fandangled ones I've seen other people using, which is like the gun. But when I move it, the temperatures seem to go up. So I decided to go with that because I was going at 36, 37. So I decided at this point I was happy to start pouring. If you do happen to use these kind of probes, make sure you clean them off and never use them again with food. Never. Keep them in your, in your art space, wherever that is, and don't use those again with actual food. I'm not filling the moulds all the way to the top, reason being because I'm going to be putting in more resin with the pigment white, and also adding in the alcohol ink. And then once this is all cured up, I'll decide then whether these coasters are going to get any form of a backing. So I just wanted to leave enough space to allow me to do that. I'm just using my silicone tool. The moulds are awesome, but the bubbles do like to hide in the corners of the mould. So you can use your silicone brush to get around those areas. You can also use isopropyl alcohol, but I don't believe that's a good idea to use when you are attempting a bloom. I can't remember. I don't do them a lot, so I opted not to on this occasion. So I'm using a long net lighter. I do prefer my heat gun though, so I do end up using that a little bit later on. Just not a fan at all of the long net lighters. I don't know why. I don't know why. It's Karen's fault from the Dragon's Cave. She's obviously put the fear of fire into my soul. So there we go. I'm also noticing a few little bits. I did clean out the moulds, but I do have cats, I've said it before, and those cats, they're not in here while I'm pouring resin, but it just appears from everywhere. So I'm going to use blue. This one I think is a metallic, and I just wanted to give it a try. I just thought it'd be a little bit interesting. I don't believe I've ever used a metallic alcohol ink in a bloom before, but as I say, I don't do them a lot. I'm just not very good at them, I guess, but I do understand that practice makes perfect and all that, but I'm also got so many other things I want to do, but I thought, you know, coasting through the week is a perfect opportunity to have a little try again. I do seem to be preferring to stay with safe colours that I really like, and I think that's okay. I think that's good to do when you're still kind of learning. Now, this colour I'm just popping in now, I believe it's a peacock blue, and it is actually really pretty, but the colour combinations are a safe bet, really. I didn't want to go too crazy, as I say, because I'm not the best at these, but I am learning, just as you are, I'm sure. I decided to do 2 drops of each colour as well. No idea why, really. I was thinking about the colours coming through, and I've never actually used, I don't believe I've used this brand of alcohol inks in an attempt of a bloom, before. So I just thought I'd err on the side of caution, but they're spreading really well, and I have tried, as you can see, I'm trying to keep my drops similar to what I've done in the first one, and I will give it a swirl as well. I'm not just going to leave the colours as they are, and I know you will move them around when you put in the white pigment, but I wanted to swirl the colours first as well. You do need to make sure that you don't go too deep as well, because you don't want to be I don't know where I'm going with this, but I don't think I might be thinking of Petri art, but in this moment I wasn't sure and I couldn't remember, but still, I'm err on the side of caution, so I've made sure I'm not going too deeply into there. But when I've done that little swirl with the colours, I was like, oh, that looks good. I like that. I'm kind of wishing that I dropped like the tiniest bit of perhaps gold and a little bit of maybe a coffee colour to actually depict the idea of a peacock. So I'm going to do that next time. I am in love with like the peacock kind of the colours and the feathers of the peacock. I absolutely love it. I think they're gorgeous, and I've managed to make one successful peacock bowl, but it was one that I never filmed. It was just one of those days, you know, where you know, just doing something just for you and not worrying about your camera and stuff, and you know, that's something that I will forever regret. but there we go. I may give it another try one day. So you saw there, I only put in 2 drops of the ocean white. I've never used or tried any other pigment for this, but I think I will see about picking up another sort, just so I can see if I get any difference. I've also never used Mouldd resin for a bloom effect. I've always had pretty good it's always worked pretty good for me when I've used Apex resin and also craft resin. So this is the first time with this resin for me. Looking back, I do think that I perhaps needed to put a little bit more pigment into this mix. The reason being, I think it just needed a bit more. It might even just be because I was being lazy and decided not to put the mixture into a icing bag, and I kind of wish I did now, instead of just using the cup, because I'm not that bad with the icing bag. So I have no idea why I just went straight for using the cup, because on one side it looks all wiggly and, you know, wobbly, and the other side it didn't come out too badly. But I definitely think that I have better control with the icing bag. I know that other people don't. I do know that a lot of people do struggle with the icing bags and are really good with a cup. So I'm the other way round. So I've given them all a little swirl. I am quite happy with them. I don't think I managed to do them quite the same. I was trying to imagine where lines are. I really must invest in either a Moulds and Shapes or a Julie Cuts coaster mould, those lovely ones that got the shapes on them. So I really must invest in some of those. So I'm just going to bring you in a little bit. I'm going to fast forward. I don't believe we're going to see a great amount of change. Excuse my hand, I was just adjusting my my camera holder so that we could get a better look. And it's only now I'm realising that the reflection of the roof is quite bad actually on the right side. So I just busy myself for a good few minutes, making sure there's any bubbles popped, and I'm also pulling out a few extra moulds because I've got a fair bit of the white pigment left over. So I'm just going to mix that in with a few of my spare little bits and pieces that I like to do when I have the extra resin. Ooh, and check that out. I finally figured out how to share my QR code for Buy Me a Coffee. If you've bought me a coffee, thank you very much. If you missed it though, it is listed in my description box below. I added a little bit of spring green mica powder to the leftover white. If I'd have been properly thinking, I would have just added a little bit of alcohol ink for the more of the marbling effect. But I've put that mixture into these lovely pendant moulds. So those are cured, and looking at them, I've decided to give them a backing. I'm still sticking with the Mouldd resin, and I've just made up a small amount, and I've decided to add in some interference blue, and I'll also be adding a small amount of Let's Resin white. I don't know why I was having a bit of trouble mixing this one in. It seemed a little bit clumpy, but you can see the idea of the interference, and I have made up a little bit more than I needed, which is fine because I can always top up some of the moulds that I have waiting on the side. I do try to be as careful as possible when mixing in any of the mica powders, because when I mixed up the resin, essentially it was really nice and pretty clear, to be honest with you. But then you do start introducing bubbles when you're having to mix in quite, really mix in with the micas. You can go as gently as possible, but I wasn't too worried because I'm only putting a very small amount on the back of these coasters. There's a bit more control in the sense that I can spray it now with isopropyl alcohol. And I can also use my heat gun if need be. You know, you can keep an eye on it for a good few minutes and this should be absolutely fine. So there goes the isopropyl alcohol, and being careful as well, because my table, I am using a leveling table and it is level, but sometimes moulds can be a bit funny. I found that, you know, not funny haha, but just keep, even if you are using a leveling table, always keep an eye, because I've always found that sometimes the moulds can be uneven. Yes, I'm going to blame the moulds. Yes, I am. And there we go. So a little spray there, and I definitely made a bit too much up of the of the resin for the backing of that. I only made up, I should have only made up maybe an ounce, maybe an ounce and a half, but there we go. But I couldn't quite fill this one mould up earlier from the leftover green that I created, so top that up so that's got a nice backing. And out comes the little turtle. We'll have a proper look at him later, don't worry. I thought, well, I get another chance now to add in some of the green alcohol ink into the interference and the white. Just give it not even a proper stir and pop it in. It doesn't go to plan. It's awesome, but don't worry, I needed to put in more apparently. But this mould's really sweet. I found it on Amazon. It is tiny, but I've got a bunch of other turtles that have arrived now as well from Temu, which are a little larger in size as well. I've got sea turtles, but I didn't have normal turtles, you know, and that's a must. So look out for the next not froggy frog. No, that's a turtle. Ignore me. So look out next week on Tuesday. I'm going to put out a Turtle Tuesday, which is always fun. Quite a few people are doing that at the moment. It's not an actual collaboration at all as far as I can see, but Turtle Tuesday is a fun idea and a fun concept. Right then, so I do have some more left over, and I'm just pulled out one of my favourites, the little cat. These are the cat, and there's like a dog one. I think they came from Amazon, but I've had them for nearly a year. I can't say nearly a year because I've not been doing resin for a year. I only started doing resin in May 2024. It's coming up close, it is. But they are one of the first, the little cat and the dog were some of the first ones I ever purchased. And I'm just going to top up the dog one because again I didn't have quite enough of the green mixture earlier on, so that's just going to give it a better topping. These guys are perfect for you can turn them into necklaces, brooches. That's a favorite of mine to do, is to glue on the pin on the back. And I do like to send them out when I do orders from my website. I always like to send out a little something as a little thank you for ordering, and they're perfect for that. So these are all cured. We'll do the extras first. And I'm actually, it's not picking up as good on the camera. I think you might see her a little bit, but we will have another look in a moment. And out comes the little cat one, and that's really sweet. And the doggo. Now that's really lovely. I do have a little bit of overpour there, but I do sort that out no problem with a deburring tool later on. And these I'm super pleased with. They've come out gorgeous, and I think that they would make a really lovely set, either for attaching all of them to a necklace if you like the chunky sort, or even if for a pair of earrings and a matching pendant. I think they're gorgeous colours, so I'm going to do something with them at another time. But they did. You see, it didn't quite work out. The marbling didn't good work, but we don't mind. We're good. We're happy. They're cute. They're so sweet. I love them. Their little faces. You know I'm a sucker for them. I'm terrible. I'm like, oh, but I can't give that. I can't sell that. Oh, I can't give that away. He'll be sad. So these, you know, they live on my desk because I'm weird. Wonderfully weird and proud of it. Thank you very much. So these come out really nicely from these molds, and I gotta say they are really, really nice, and they are part of the kit from Mouldd. You get 4 of them in the set, which is great as well. So first one. Now, yeah, there's a little bit of droppage, but I really like it. I think it's really, really pretty, but I kind of think that maybe I needed a bit more white, and I maybe should have been a bit more patient and waited for the resin to go beyond just over 38. But I really like it. And the metallic, I'm not sure if you're picking it up, it's almost like a sparkle in there. So that's really interesting, and I'm really pleased with that. And I love how the peacock that I put on the edges have kind of pulled in a little bit. And yeah, I'm actually really pleased with them. I think they're really pretty. Look at that. To be fair, for somebody that's not really into doing them and I've not done them enough, and I'm always in awe of what other resin artists do, because some of the stuff, it's just gorgeous, and I'm like, wow. It's like when you look at a hairdresser, and you know, unless you're good with hair, I don't do hair, I'm like, it's witchcraft, it's wizardry. Same with crochets, same with knitting. You're all witches. It's crazy stuff, you know. But you know, if I will start paying more attention. I may start practicing a little bit more here and there. But I did enjoy it, and I do think they're very, very pretty, and I really do love those. I will trim the dog up. You'll see at the end, and that'll go in my bag. Can you see the colours in there? I wish I picked it up a bit, but it is actually really pretty. And these guys, look at them. Ah, they're so cute. I absolutely love them. I hope you enjoyed watching. Please check out the rest of the videos. Love you and stay weird.
In a room full of colors and swirls, Nerd Goblin art draws a magic world, with foxes that prance and badgers that dance, a whirlwind of dreams with a single glance. Gerald the alligator grins so wide, in enchanted waters he loves to hide. Dragons breathe wonder with flames so bright, each creature born from a magic night. Nerd Goblin paints life in every brush,